the SM Media Podcast Network. Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media Horse Racing Show. I'm Scott McPike. It is always a pleasure to be your host, and we are going to take a look back at some action on the flat over the past couple of months, and we'll preview the final big meeting of the flat racing season, where we have a really exciting Champions Day at Ascot lined up. To join me as always, it is an absolute delight to welcome from the Scottish Daily Mail, Callum McClurkin.
Hi there, yeah. The weather's changing, so the season's changed. So I mean, it's flat and it jumps quite soon. But I mean, kind of hanging on to the flat season yet. The British Champions Day, which looks to be a pretty good one, given we're going to get the unusual part of having good ground to deal with. I think. So I think pretty much every race is looking relatively strong, maybe apart from the Stayers race, but. I've had the jumps just going underway there, so it's kind of a tricky time for punters because you're trying to kind of maybe phase out one and go in towards the other one, but still just about in flat mode yet.
I always turn my heating on about the kind of last week in September, and I always have a wee look at the Cheltenham markets because that just gets me in the mood. You're the same, because that's where I'm kind of at the moment. It's like that kind of middle of the road. I've enjoyed the flat season. I always kind of fade away when the football season starts, but I've stuck at it this year. I'm looking forward to Champions Weekend. I think it's going to be a really good day of racing. But I think there's a lot of stuff to talk about. It's a lot of really interesting moves and a lot of kind of moves for next season to get us excited. We start with the Arc, probably the best place to start. Obviously, the one by Dariz, the French rider from Mikel Barcelona. Very interesting race. Mini Hawk just touched off. What was your overall kind of takeaways from the Arc? And obviously the kind of way the race worked out, Mini Hawk was well fancied and was well backed. Still showed a lot in defeat though, didn't she?
Yeah, I thought she enhanced her reputation defeat, to be honest. Just two very good 3-year-olds pulling away. The only kind of quibble on that is that it's become a bit of a draw race, and they bring that extra fresh strip of ground in from the inside, and you kind of see the whole meeting now. We're kind of 1 beats 2 and 2 beats 3 in the box. And this time it was 2 beat 1, and then the third was Sosi. It was Berth and Stall 3 as well. So I mean, the top 3 really kind of controlling it from the inner, really, and nobody else get a look in is a shade unsatisfactory. But the right profiles came in. They're both going to keep racing at 4, which is going to be a very, very good sign going forward because they both got a lot more.
Both splitting favouritism at the moment for next year. I know it's still way early, but 10-1 both of them. So
you can see why, because it's solid mid 120s horses. Because I really fancy the third Source each way. It was an each way bet to nothing. Went out to 16s, and that horse. He ran kind of pretty much to his mark of last year. You'd say at least. So that's probably low 20s and it's into the mid 120s. Yeah, I mean, for what looked like a kind of honorary renewal, it looked like a good betting heat. The right two profiles keep it for a good French 3-year-old. The French train them like that. I mean, I had the kind of feeling that that French horse would maybe find £10 or something improve from there. The thing with Dariz was, in my mind, that the international run was so bad you couldn't really glean anything from it, and you would have liked him to have sampled at least some positive Group 1 experience before going in there. But it was a big win for Francis Henry Graffard, who's got a big hand this week, and it's really like a coming of age one as well, because I do think that France probably needs a new kind of up and coming trainer at the top level. The Aga Khan has famous silks, and this seems to be the new kind of new reputation. And the whiff of kind of when Walt Geist ran down Enable. The whiff's kind of that year a little bit, where the kind of the good 3-year-old filly get the run of it, but just get reeled in. Don't think Christophe Simeon could have done a lot more on the runner-up. I would say, if anything, he maybe didn't kick her home soon enough, because stamina's her 40, and with a horse that's kind of just slipstreamed her into it and mugged on the line. And I think it was kind of mugged for a bit more speed rather than stamina, and it was just a well timed. We'll have one go at you kind of thing, and ran her down. So yeah, and the third really kind of. So it's a kind of solid, honest kind of level there, really. Andre Fabre kind of peaking one for that day, and the French are very good at that. You know, that definitely peak them towards the end of the season to win their own prizes. So yeah, I was quite impressed by the front two, and the fact they're staying on for 4 gives you something already to be excited about for next year.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously as well, the fact that they are staying on does mean that they are definitely hostile. Minnie Hawk, I was glad to hear that they were keeping her because I think she has one that. Similar, I know obviously Enable won it at 3, but I felt she was a lot better a horse when she won it at 4, and I can see the same in Minnie Hawk that she could just train on again and just kick on. Whether
Yeah.
what they kind of plan with her in the season will be interesting. But I really thought Minnie Hawk was the one to take for me for next year. We'll cover 2-year-olds as a wee separate segment because I think there's quite a lot to get into. I just wanted to touch on over here. We had the Sun Chariot Stakes, which was won by Fallen Angel. Obviously, she won as well in Ireland on Champions Weekend over there. She's a horse that I mean she wasn't fancied on the day, but she again was another one who showed her reputation well in the kind of 2 wins that she had.
Yeah, I mean, particularly, I mean, she's very gutsy from the front and a bit of soft ground, but she's now won a Group 1 in France. And the Rothschild, she kind of bounced back to form, hung on from the front quite gamely. The same thing in the Matron in Ireland, again, hung on from the front quite bravely, and then maybe took it up a step at Newmarket, where she found pretty generously up the hill when the track was maybe a bit of a question mark against her, and the ground was a little bit on the quick side, but definitely not quick enough, and there was a bit of late money for her. So when she's got all her factors and finding generously against her own sex, and she's definitely very, very tough to beat. And again, I think she might be another one that's going to stay in training and probably worth a shot in open company. In fact, that Carol Buck seems to be willing to roll the dice at the moment this weekend to run in the QE2. It gives that race another kind of layer of intrigue because she's definitely capable of it. Maybe not as effective at Ascot as elsewhere, and probably would have been one of those horses that would have wanted a bit more rain to come than she's getting. So it's definitely tougher waters for her, given her past record against the boys. But that was early in the season, and maybe she's just a mare on the upgrade, and maybe she's a bit more of a player than maybe like 9-10-1 suggests. But she'd probably be a pace angle in it. She'll be quite prominent, and that might help a lot of the kind of fancied horses track her into in behind. But yeah, she's gone on from strength to strength, and maybe admittedly a kind of a weak mile division in her own sex. I mean, Cinderella's Dream, for instance, that day in the Sun Chariot didn't fire, was the only real market rival. And I knew Blue Bolt was second. She was kind of guaranteed to run well, but you'd expect a 4-year-old mare rated 115 to beat that kind of horse at that stage of her career by 2 and a bit. And that's what she did. But I mean, when she gets eyeballs, she's very, very tough and consistent. So yeah, full credit.
And obviously, we'll stick with Irish Champions Weekend. Just obviously talking about Al Rifa, who won the Irish and Ledger. Very much looks to be. Well, I think she's actually in Melbourne for the Melbourne Cup. Would you anchor for that?
I mean, I think he's got a chance. He kind of proved he stayed, but he kind of won with a kind of good turn of foot in the Irish Ledger. And you know, he's definitely going to have a class edge going down there. There's no doubt about it. You wouldn't want to pie into him at the moment because there's certain tests that you have to pass going down there. So I wouldn't really entertain much kind of British and Irish runners yet until maybe 48 hours beforehand, where you've definitely got a green light to go. And I think he's maybe doubtful still when you've got a true tempo and a big field like that and a hustle and bustle. But you know, he was a kind of borderline champion 2-year-old really, and yeah, he's been the most kind of money raiser of the late Wooten Bassett as well. You know, he was the one that's kind of won these kind of multiple Group 1s everywhere, left, right, centre, and had the toughness of his sire. So and now he's shown his kind of flexibility as well, and finding a new niche and staying trip. So he's the classiest horse in the race at the moment. You would think. It's just whether it could go kind of Vauban style wrong, where you get these classy types, but they kind of don't. If they don't acclimatise and they boil over a little bit, they will be found for stamina because it's a strong tempo down there, and it is quite different. So he'll have to kind of handle that. But if he does and relaxes, and he'll definitely have a chance. And the trainer knows exactly how to win it, which is another big plus.
Will you be opening your curtains to watch it? Did you see that coming about?
Yes, yeah. Johnny Dean does it. Yeah, I actually quite like the race. I mean, I remember, I remember, I pretty much got up for the last
I think for the year Vauban was
10
favourite. I got up
years,
for it.
and mainly because of our interests, and if the vet things, is too extreme and there's no British Irish runners, then you probably wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something different. It's not going to be everyone's bag, but there's tons of stuff that isn't people's bags, and there's plenty of stuff, plenty of people that just refuse to watch all weather stuff, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with the way things are expanding, I mean, there's good British Irish entries in the Japan Cup, for instance. You've got the Breeders' Cup, Dubai at the start of the year, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain. All these jurisdictions are getting bigger and better, and all our better horses, if they're not moved there by owners, then they're still trained here and farmed out there for better prize money. So I think if you want to pay attention to the form, I think these races are worth paying attention for. I mean, the Cox Plate, for instance, is a good race. The Caulfield Cup's a good race. It's not as if it's just big handicap dotted about, and the Aussies do usually find one that I think like last year, for instance, and there's been a couple of years recently where an Australian horse has kind of come in massive price, nobody really expected it, and maybe that's where you feel the lottery aspect of it is. But that you're going to get home raiders like that. The art to a degree as well. You had it, but you're just going to get horses that are going to improve. For the big race, for the big day. I mean, the one that used to be up here at Buckaroo, for instance, I think that's primed to win one. It's about 25s or something like that. So it's definitely no harm keeping an eye on it. And the final makeup of the race will dictate the level of interest here. If you've got a nice warm favourite trained by Willie Mullins or Joseph O'Brien or maybe Andrew Baldwin brings further over, something like that, then it will elevate your interest. If it was just Australian horses, you probably wouldn't watch it. So if there's enough of a British and Irish kind of flavour and you've got time to look at it, then that's fine. And for some people in this wacky way of pace of life, 4 a.m. is 4 p.m. to some people, so won't be bothered.
Nah, I wouldn't either. As I say, I got up this morning to watch the India Championship and the golf, so it's like getting up early doesn't really bother me. Staying up late, I can't do anymore. See the like basketball, if there's like NFL, things like that, I
NFL,
struggle now. Like even the Ryder Cup, I was like sitting up and just trying to stay awake. It is hard now, but that's just the nature of the beast now, I suppose. You mentioned Wooten Bassett. We have to kind of touch on that. Obviously, the really sad news of his passing at the end of September. Again, quite a remarkable story when you think about it. Not a horse when you heard about his initial kind of stud career that you thought would go on. I think 300 grand, I think, was his final fee. Like a remarkable story. And you mentioned something very interesting. I think the last show we did when we were talking about the kind of horses that the likes of Henri Matisse, you mentioned Al Rifa, like Whirl.
yeah.
They horses, they just had that kind of staying ability that I think we'll still hopefully get another 2 years of his progeny, but a kind of remarkable stud when you think about it, and it's going to be a very, very difficult horse to replace in that kind of for Coolmore, in my view.
It was. I mean, they went out to buy him, really, I think, for the closing years. But I mean, he was at stud for like 6,000,
Mm-hmm.
and then by the end of his career, it was like 300,000 as a stallion, and he's just producing very good horses. I mean, Almanzor probably the first kind of case
Yeah,
where he'd won a champion stakes. You think, oh wow! I mean, what was the sign of that? Wouldn't Bassett, that's going to jack your price up. Um, and then the horses kept coming in different profiles. As you mentioned, Alrifa, Worrell, tough, quite versatile as well,
mm-hmm.
and proof that they trained on into three. And he was quite fast as a 2-year-old as well. He started his I mean, he won the Lagardère at the end of his 2-year-old season. He made his debut at Ayr, funnily enough,
Yes,
and raced at St James's Palace in Frankel's here when he was 3, and found things going there, and that's just going to knock a bit of value off him and things like that. But Yeah, and I think the sad thing is that he's just really producing more and more and more and getting better and better, and he's probably approaching his peak years, and we've maybe not even quite scratched the surface of him. But apparently, most of his generations were covered, so we should get another 3 seasons of New Horse Realm
Mhm.
2. So that'll be a plus, and yeah, I mean, his influence is definitely going to go on okay. I think they've had enough years out of him that they'll be fine. I mean, Henry Matisse is going to stud. Camille Pissarro is another one that we're going to stud. So uh, Delacrazzi and Vitali, even though he was by the Bali, but they're getting those kind of ilk of horses now. That I think Coolmore will be okay. But yeah, they'll be pretty gutted by the kind of the time of it, because it was a big sensible investment to make that was proven, and they were just beginning to reap the rewards of it, and if they would have done for a good 5 to 10 years to come, and he was covering some better quality of fillies, and that was obviously producing better and deeper quality of stock as well. So yeah, he was kind of becoming the super sire. I'd say. I mean, only Night of Thunder I think's ahead of him in the yearly prize money total. So yeah, I mean, he's 50 odd kind of group winners already.
Mhm.
Under him. So yeah, rags to riches tale on track and off it, which is quite something.
Very much so, yeah. Really sad loss. Wouldn't be a SM Media Racing show without talking about Cheltenham, but we are going to just talk about a couple of things that were announced over the past few weeks. A couple of tweaks to one tweak on the race course, and one obviously a couple of tweaks off the track. Triumph Hurdle now requires a minimum rating of 110 for entry, known as probably the Ponyross rule.
Mm-hmm.
Does like obviously I think we know why this has been put in. It's not a lofty rating when you consider it. 110 is not bad, but juveniles will now need to have at least one run over obstacles to earn a rating, thus ensuring that this important Grade One won't be won by a hurdling debutant. Right call?
Yeah, I
Not
think
something
it's
you're not
fair. I,
surprised.
I think I think it's fair, because you can't have that ridiculous situation again, really. Can you? I mean, of and particularly anti-post. But I mean, you're probably more deeper into it than I am. But I mean, a lot of people try and dig out use 3 or 4, for the triumph. It's kind of seen as a kind of litmus test of anti-post punting in the jumps world, really. To have it won by a no raced horse, and Willie Mullins has them all, really. I think you're kind of guessing that he runs 8, 9. Kind of hope he still does, but you've
It
got
was
to,
15 last year, was it? It was 15, I think he
you've
done.
got to have something to come out and show some sort of form to win it. At least one piece of form, like jump in the flesh. You know what I mean? It's got to be out before the season. I think it's a decent move. You might scarp and say, well, it's just the latest rule to kind of try and stop Willie Mullins. It might well be, but he's going to find another way down it. I mean, you just kind of just put him in a maiden, he'll run to decent standard, and that's it. You just want to see him once. That's I think that's the kind of big thing there. Unraced horses for triumph. It should, in theory, be unthinkable, and it encourages more racing, which is a good thing, because you get all these non-events that they're just part there, and then we'll spring them later on, and can get to keep them in France. I don't mind if you can run in France, for instance. If you had it there and then you can keep it and then unleash it in a triumph, that's fine. At least people can have got some French form to follow. Most Poros final, it probably was just in connections alone, but you're looking at Grade One race. I think it should really be a massive ask to even get close to doing that. Um, so yeah, I think asking them all to have at least one run. Whether they should get a mark or not, I don't know. But I think I think I think the general public should be able to see horses of a triumph winning caliber before they just turn up a triumph.
Yeah,
They
not
really should be known, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. It's just a couple of the off the field, off the track changes that I was going to get your thoughts on. Attendance for all days has been capped at 66,000. Wednesday will revert to being called Ladies' Day after being unsuccessfully rebranded as Fashion Day in 2019. makes no odds to me. The price of this is an important one. The price of a pint of Guinness has been reduced 30p down to £7.50, and a price that will remain consistent at Cheltenham throughout the jump season. The two main bars in the grandstand will be refurbished, and a new bar will be opening in the same enclosure, and a new food court in the Tainted Village to help cater for punters during inclement weather. And Prosecco has been made widely available around the racecourse. Enough there to get attend. Is it enough there to combat the real issue?
None of that's going to make it adversely worse, is it? It'll probably improve customer experience. That's what you want to do. I mean, that seems to be £7.50 wherever you go, particularly in these big kind of venues. It's pretty much the going rate. So that wouldn't surprise you. At big sporting venues, big music venues. So yeah, it's arguably maybe on the cheap side now. So yeah, I think that's fine. I think a lot of this stuff is out with the hands of Cheltenham, for instance. I mean, I think travel and accommodation are far bigger issues than people think, and you can't do anything about that. It's just kind of infrastructure.
The same everything though. Like I'm trying to get I got a ticket for a Christmas concert in Edinburgh, and I looked at prices in Edinburgh like for the day, and it's ridiculous.
You know what I mean? It's like New Year there, for instance, is unbelievable. So that's just what you're up against. You know, it's kind of supply and demand, and demand for these things is always invariably high. The transportation, I think, it takes a lot of cost to plan it as well, and that's a big thing in accommodation. Where, you know, every hotel, every Airbnb usually stumps up, and you need to be pretty seasoned campaigner to kind of shoot out and find the best value for that. I mean, maybe that sometimes that's the best thing you can do anti-post wise is suss out the right place to stay in the right train deal rather than finding winners. But yeah, none of that's going to be have a negative impact on things for sure, and hopefully it'll have the positive impact they think it will be.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's get into some 2-year-olds' performances to note. We have had a few big kind of performances. We'll start with the middle part, which was won by Wise Approach. Quite a remarkable performance, Cal.
Yes, because he came from a mile back and had to switch around them and do them all. And he's been there for quite some time, you know, as a forward 2-year-old, and maybe the one that's going to have been vindicated and kept going. Did it well. You just wonder how much progression there really can be from 2 to 3, but he also looks quite speedy. So, yeah, I mean, it's Commonwealth Cup written all over him for me, to be honest. He's not a Guinness contender in my eye, and I think Charlie Appleby kind of muted that the Commonwealth Cup will be his main kind of early season target next season.
What kind of 2-year-old, like we'll go kind of through the kind of 4 classic divisions just to see your kind of thoughts. Like, who would be your kind of 2,000 guineas takeaways? You've got like, I thought Bow Echo was really good. Puerto Rico put in a good performance in France, and we'll get into a couple of Brian horses later. Distant Storm as well. Like, and Joanne obviously won the Dewhurst. Like, who would you say was your kind of colt kind of 2-year-olds to take away so far?
The free bet in the 2,000 guineas, I don't think would back any of them. But I mean, I was disappointed in the Dewhurst, to see. I think Gowan winning it, I thought he ran pretty much back to his York form, had the run of it from front, and I think he won because he was the most professional. Gustad has raced. He was very keen early doors, which was maybe an excuse not to get by, but he's done that 3 times now, where he's came to win the race and not done it. He's a big strap and sort though, and he always goes off short. And he's definitely one that they're drumming a lot of experience to for next year, and he's going to improve. So, and he still sets a reasonably high standard because that Dewhurst is still kind of the level that you want to be at. So, I mean, it's still 115, 116 form comfortably, but you just have to think that you might just do that again. You know, you handled it quite well for a big horse, unlike Zavateri, who was all at sea. So you'd be lukewarm with that chances, even though it finished 4th. I thought the third Distant Storm ran quite well. I thought that might have been the one to take out of it because I just thought we were too far back to really challenge, and then had to kind of go the rail route, which maybe wasn't quite the place to be when things developed. Had to get past the Carol Buck horse which was, and then race away a bit slightly, and he was only beating a length and a bit, and they were all kind of finishing a heap at the line, and it looked a bit middling form. Um, and I thought Boeck was good, but I don't think that's quite Guinea's level. But the horse that he beat, funnily enough, that I think is open to a lot of potential in off season's Publish. And I think at 20 to 1, I think I would go there at the moment. I mean, I definitely think that horse, that's the John Gosden horse. There is a bit of feel the gold about him.
Okay.
He's not done it yet, but I mean, he's been campaigned as if he's their best 2-year-old, really. Probably hanging that away against Bo Echo when he looked all over the winner. He just made too much ground up from the back and flattened out a little bit. That's the kind of thing that he can iron out definitely over the summer. And he's got enough untapped potential for me that he'll probably go in a trial and probably improve for that and be a lot shorter for the Guineas, because he definitely looks like a Guineas horse. I think I'll be looking at that. I think I'll try and get away from the obvious contenders at the top of the market. Puerto Rico's good, very Wooten Bassett like in his career, like Sai was, winning that race, which was the Lagardère. He was gifted the run of it, though. I don't know what the jockey was doing the second, just sitting there, just allowing him to kick on. He can't allow Ian O'Brien horse to dictate things like that in Group 1, because they're not going to stop. But he was better, and he's going through the ranks as well. And the fact that Albert Einstein, that we've not seen, is still pretty much top of the market there, suggests that he was definitely their be all and end all. Maybe that's why Ian O'Brien's ran these kind of horses like 4, 5, 6 times this season. To Drummond experiences kind of in the background, because he might still be the undoubted classy one of the lot. So yeah, recent performances for 2,000 guineas wise, I would maybe try and look at have a kind of look at. I'm not getting bad about it. I would be looking at kind of like Publish or something like that. To me, something that's a little bit left field.
Okay. And the kind of fillies will kind of bumble the 1,000 guineas and the Oaks together. You've got Precise, who was very, very good in the fillies mile. Diamond Necklace, who was very good in France. True Love, obviously winning the Cheveley Park. Aidan O'Brien looks to have the cards for this division.
He does, yeah. Godolphin don't have anything too obvious for it. You wouldn't give up on Venetian Sun maybe getting a mile yet. But she does look a kind of quite forward 2-year-old, and maybe others will progress past her. Maybe a bit too precocious. And yeah, you might get something from left field. I mean, there was a bit like 2,000 guineas. There was one at Kempton last night. Take me to New York or something like that could slip in like a notable speech. So, 1,000 guineas, the trials are probably a bit more relevant in build up for fillies time in the season and things like that. But yeah, Precise. Won it well enough. I would point out that in the fillies mile that all the market principles disappointed to a large degree. She had the run of it. The Ian O'Brien trio were in wing formation there, really leading her up, and she just got a dream run and slipstreamed the pair both into it, and they went reasonably hard enough, and she just kind of maintained the gallop to the line to beat a 40 to 1 shot, who looks to me pretty limited as a kind of a nice hardy Johnson runner from the front that wouldn't be 110 class to me. So I'd pin that form down. I think Diamond Necklace is the far superior filly, in my opinion.
Okay.
It was a better race in France than it looked. She beat the right two in behind, the right trainers, the right form, and the right profile coming into it, and did it with consummate ease. And she was tossing about second gear all the time, and put her in at the back and after, and a line through Aylan and Carl Burkhorse from Goodwood when Precise beat that, and she beat that twice as easy. On more suitable ground conditions for Aylan as well, and did it easier than Precise did. different race, different circumstances and things, but her finishing speed was remarkable. I think she's a lot quicker than people think she is. And I think Precise is a better steer than a lot of people think she is as well. So I don't really nitpick as that's the Guineas horse, that's the Oaks horse. I would rather back Diamond Necklace for both of them.
Okay.
I
And
think there's a lot of kind of like love kind of elements to her, in that horse. I think she's quicker than a lot of people give her credit for. She's ground versatile, and she would definitely get a mile and a half. And you can just see her start. I mean, the way Simeon talked about her afterwards in comparison to Precise as well was striking. You don't get that kind of stuff from Ryan Muir at the end. I mean, Ryan Muir would bite his lips. Yeah, they're both very, very good. They're both very good to different degrees, and I think Precise is very all there and professional and efficient. I don't think she has the star quality ability and potential that Diamond Necklace has. I think she could be absolutely top class.
and into the kind of Derby division, I thought Pierre Bernard was very good. I like what I've seen so far from Constitution River. But Callum, is the Derby favourite, well, the Derby favourite at the moment, is he going to just bolt up in the futurity?
10 to 11 for the futurity, and that's normally a sign of you think this is a very good horse. Yes,
What's the hype like? Like what you've seen, is he a hype
oh,
like?
I think he's better than anything we saw in Dewhurst by a mile. I think
You know
you
where
know
I'm going here, don't you? The comparison to, of course, we talked about a couple of years. Is he as good as that at this point?
Well, I think you'd probably find out in Doncaster, but I mean, they seem to be kind of running scared a little bit of him. Um, I think he's definitely better than any of the Newmarket runners, even the mile winner, because he beat Endorsement, quite easily.
Yeah.
Um, Easier than kind of Pierre did, I'd have to say. And he was still raw and inexperienced, and then the way he opened up from 9,900 rated rivals, the gallop into the line in Irish champion juvenile was very impressive. For he's going the Gusty Rodan route. He's going that kind of route of Delacroix. Recent years, Bangor Grisha, Saxon Warrior, where if the futurity, and the thing is, if he puts in a good performance again that the market expects him to and win well, then that would push him into Guineas territory. And then you'll have to, he might start off on a Guineas and develop into Derby horse. He's by far and away the 2-year-old colt that I'm most excited about by far, with classic aspirations. Definitely more the Derby side than Ensign, but it would not surprise me. Particularly I've kind of been going in and about, and the Dewhurst seems to be there's 4 or 5 very good ones there. I don't think there's a great one in there. And I think he's good enough to overcome that, and maybe a long way to go, but he's good enough and unexposed enough to overcome it. And it depends what ground we'll get in the futurity. It depends how he's going to do it. He might underperform and come back. Who knows at this stage of the career? But there was a 2-year-old race where City of Troy pulled away and runaway train. He did that in the final furlong at Leopardstown. I mean, he just whooshed and took off.
Mm-hmm.
Whooshed and took off in a way that I've not really seen. Maybe the last time we saw it was maybe Field of Goldness at James's Palace. It was kind of like that kind of style about it. You can quibble the kind of substance of the form, but the second third that day, they're kind of 99, 100 rated horses, and he's done it. He's like 110 rated already. He's £5-6 away from all these horses that have ran all year. And if he puts in another good performance again, he's going to be nudged up further. And I think he's got bundles more potential.
Yeah, I'm really excited about him. I think he could be pretty good. Right, let's get into previewing the Champions Weekend. There's been a couple of changes since last year. The Long Distance Cup's been upgraded to a Group 1, and there's now a 2-year-old condition stakes, making 7 races on the day. Good moves. Obviously, we spoke about the prize money is obviously good. This is I think a 250 grand 2-year-old race. I mean, it's like I think personally two right calls to bring this in and make it a proper kind of exciting day.
Yeah, and it's one. We're just going through a period of there's not a lot of stayers around at the moment. One future one, for instance, might be that like going back to the 2-year-old last week. New Zealand looked like an
Yeah,
absolute eye-catching horse there. I mean, probably a Ledger kind of type and a cup horse down the line. But he ran really, really well. There's horses like him in Montreal, for instance, that are definitely sleepers in Ian O'Brien's division that could reignite over like Queen Vaz trips and things like that. There's so many there that are even that we're not even really seeing properly at group level. And hopefully some of them can come in the long distance level. But I mean, Stay True being in this supplementing for it does give this some kind of important, valuable spark.
Are you surprised that they've not supplemented Scandinavia or Illinois or Jan Bregoy?
No, I mean I think there's a problem with Jan Bruegel. I think they're kind of staying in the division. I think they're obviously Kiprios, so I think they've been kind of caught in the hop this season in the steers. I think Illinois was practically found out really in the Irish Ledger that he's not good, and I don't think he's a steer. I think he was kind of a good kind of Group 2 mile-and-a-half horse, mile 6, and a speed mile 6 as well, because he got outsteered by Jan Bruegel. I think Jan Bruegel just did well to win the Coronation Cup. Barely seen since. I just think winning a Ledger, it's hard to kind of maintain that. Sometimes the better horses place in Ledgers and then improve, and Stradivarius didn't win one, was well-minded. It's an attritional race. You don't see a lot of them come back for more and more and more and more. And I just think that's what you've got this year. And Scandinavia was more prime for a Melbourne Cup. That would give him more time. That was a hard race. That was. I mean, it still was. It wasn't attritionally high because of the ground, but there was no hiding place there, and it's the inexperienced one that's coming in and testing the water, and I think that's exactly what it is. I mean, Sweet William was supposed to run after he won the last day, and the fact that he is, I don't understand why he's twice the price of Stay True for the forecast spot behind Trolley.
I did like Stay True running the Ledger, though. I thought he ran quite well in the Ledger. Stay True.
I mean, is he going to build from that? It's a big ask to go in the open company here and run well, and he's getting the kind of 3-year-old allowance here. But these horses set decent standard. And Sweet William's very consistent. With Trolley in there, he's just going to dictate. Sweet William will probably track. And Stay True's got to go up and trip again here, and if you looked at the kind of ones in the Vulture in the trial before Doncaster, he was kind of the last one off the bridle, really. And then kind of handled decent ground. And I thought he was one of the weaker steers at the line, Doncaster. So I think this might be a bit too attritional for him, particularly when we know he's not going to take on Trollman up top. Al Kareem might, but probably won't at the trip. He's been freshened up since York. He's in 57 days off. He can set a watch by him. 1 to 2 is fine. And I think Sweet William is a value for forecast for second, because he's just going to latch on behind in the bridle and maybe get upside Trollman again. And you know what's going to happen? He won't go past.
Do you think Trollman Gosden forecast for the?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. We will go to the 130, which is the 2-year-old conditioned stakes. I don't necessarily know, if this is I don't think like Aidan O'Brien, for example. I don't think he's sending anywhere near his best 2-year-olds. But Words of Truth, 11 to 10 shot. What have we made of him so far? What's his kind of ceiling at the moment? Do you think?
Yeah, this is a good addition because it's in decent ground. This might not have gone to plan if it was soft, because you just had the 2-year-old week last week, so you're kind of wondering, why is there a big valuable 2-year-old condition race? But it's worked out. Yeah, he's favourite in ratings because he's clearly won the Mill Reef, on ground that's different to this, and that was a big jump up in form.
Massive difference to him has been the fact they gelded him after his first race.
Yeah, and they're kind of looking at him as a kind of Jersey horse for next year, kind of thing. So this is kind of good to tell where he is at. He's won over course and distance before, so yeah, he's going to be understandable, be short. I just wonder if he's run the Mill Reef, which is becoming one of the weaker trials historically now, going forward. Kind of the weaker kind of end the season 2-year-old races at Newbury, and I don't think that looked particularly strong either. So I wonder if a mark of 1-1-2 is a bit over egging the poon for him, particularly when you're going to deal with contrasting ground here, and you're probably going to get odds on. I mean, I've seen best price 11 to 10, but I mean, a lot of firms are like 4 to 6. So Brussels is there again. If I thought Gestad had showed signs if he's had enough, I mean, this boy going out again, for that'll be his 7th run
Yes.
in a 2-year-old season. I know Ian O'Brien likes to race him, but holy smokes! And
And it's not like he's been beaten by Wise Approach and
beaten the
Savaretti,
good
but
horses, and then he's
yeah.
gone into these kind of races and he still doesn't get it done, and you can
Hmm.
just see that happening again here. His run last time out was fine. Cornwallis down and trip beat. You know, does he want to really go past? There's been signs where he doesn't. Particularly that valuable sales race where he was fourth. Maybe stamina came to play. He's a big imposing horse like Italy and Gustada.
Should have won the last day. I think he should have won the last day.
I
The
mean,
Betford Folly, was it?
Bexford Folly beat him, and he just seemed to tie up again at the line. That's what I see from his last 25, 50 yards seem to be his worst. I don't know if he'll try a tongue tie or on something to kind of help maybe see out a little bit more, but he's still raced high class. And is he kind of one of these horses where I'll run second in the middle park, I'll run second in a sales race, and I think that says a lot about a horse. Will he just finish second across various levels,
Yeah,
So and invariably he goes off short, so he's going to go off short again.
I think Division's a
Second
good
favourite.
shout. I quite liked him last day. I think he's a decent chance
Mm-hmm.
at 7 to 1.
In a week, but I mean a week turnaround as well. It might be tough for him. Same with Brussels. I think Sir Albert's got a big run in him.
Yeah,
I think the kind of 8 to 1 bracket. Andrew Balding's he's won a lot of kind of these races, and he's got some decent form in the book. I think like recently, his Doncaster run was franked when he was third by half a length in the Flying Scotsman. The second, Hankelo came out and won last week. Dictated his kind of race by being quite professional in Future Champions weekend. That was Group 2 company, but Hankelo stepped up from listed company in Group 2, was second. Sir Albert was a very good third, only half a length there, and that form kind of ties him really in well with the likes of Brussels and things like that. And he's twice the price, and maybe, and his form is showing more signs of improvement as well rather than Brussels. Where Brussels just seems to be running to the same level all the
hmm.
time. I think Sir Albert, even though he's got £9 to find here in the figures, he's kind of still improving. He's had a month break. He's a little bit fresher, maybe, and maybe he's a potential angle. Potan is as well, but I don't think he's going to get his ground. I think he'd want a bit softer. And I mean, if Mission Central runs, wouldn't be without a shout. And the other one each way that's of interest in Sagozan horse and Silent Siren Suit, sorry, because it was third in that C&D race that Wise Approach won. And that was only 3/4 of a length difference, and Wise Approach has gone on to do some really, really, really good stuff and be very high class. That was definitely a good run. Third first one that's so inexperienced and only ran. That was only the second run of its life, and then the third one at Kempton where it was just going out to shed its maiden tag, which he done fine. Gosden's at targeting this meeting, 12, 14 to 1 yet. Rated 88 a bit to fine, but there's definitely potential there when a lot of these others that do have the rating in the bank that might lack it. So I'd be looking at the kind of those two, Sir Albert and Siren Suit against the favoured horses each way.
Okay, and I'm going to have a wee saver on the Wathnan Horse Division. Let's go into the 205, the Champion Sprint Stakes. If you are watching this video and you're not wanting to hear cliches, you've come to the wrong show because, Callum, they're all beating each other. There's no standout horse in this division. Where are we at with this? Because you could make a case for all of them, but none of them for the reason that you kind of will maybe look at the next 2 races and think I can back that horse on form. You can't do that with this.
No, you can chicken out and say, wait for the draw. But no, I'll have an opinion on it.
Okay.
Um, I I don't think there was much excuse for Lazat last time.
No.
Um, Yeah, the Haydock tempo, yeah, it's a bit quicker than ideal. He did that course record time and he was up there in the firing line, did come back in the line slightly, beaten two and a bit. And his rating suggests that he can bounce back and win this in the back in a stiffer track. Could do, imminently plausible. Um, thing is was that race at Royal Ascot, the 6 furlongs, that good? You know, the Japanese horse could have pulled away with them. You're thinking, oh, these two are the best sprinters I've ever seen. You know, for this generation, they'll dominate everywhere. Um, Flora Bermuda was still third, beating three and a bit. All the
Mhm.
better horses either ran the Commonwealth Cup or the 5 furlong race, or
I've got a
missed it,
Commonwealth Cup horse I like in this.
or missed it. Um, and a lot of these rivals here have come with just an autumnal campaign in mind and have had a break and will come in fresher. Um, I mean, yeah, on best form, yeah, he's the one to beat. But I just wonder if that was more of an outlier than his general kind of profile suggests. So is he really clear of these? I would suspect no. So he's definitely opposable at the top of the market for me. I mean, he could win. Let me be honest. But I
Hmm.
mean, Big Mojo as well. His worst run of the season was arguably here, Ascot. Won the Haydock Sprint Cup, but he was favoured in the rail. To back him, I don't think he would have won as effectively. He still might have won, but he got the run of things in the rail, got the perfect gap at the right time. Is he going to get that ideal set up again here? Yeah, it's going to be a bit stiffer. I would have my doubts, and I think he's in the short side as well. Montes had won it. It's kind of been in the mix this year, but you know he's an autumnal horse, but he likes it soft, excess stamina. I think, yeah, he ticks a lot of boxes here, but he's third the last day. Looked like he'd probably improved from it. I'd be disappointed if he'd won though, and I think he's short enough. Kind of Blue's the one I'm all over here. You know, shape brilliant. Second, uh, when second at Haydock, won this last year, and this has been the plan all season, hasn't it? You know, and
Yeah.
this has just been let's get back here as a 4-year-old and bide our time. You know, does have form, decent ground, and like it proved that Haydock where I thought he shaped the best. You know, to come out basically off the back of pretty much no run really, to do that, to be second and look like the one that would improve for it. Flora Bermuda will have a chance again, probably quite consistent. And the other one I like is this French horse,
That's the one I was
Rebecca.
coming down. Yes, I thought, yeah, I think it's a she. Am I right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
yeah, but she ran very well at Ascot in the Commonwealth Cup,
third.
and I think you can make excuses for the time that Lassat finished fourth in France, and
Mm-hmm.
she was well beaten on that day. I think you can make excuses. She actually ran very well last time out in very heavy ground at Longchamp over 5. I just think the profile. I think she's all over, and she's got that kind of Commonwealth Cup. The Commonwealth Cup was a bit of a messy race, and she was probably the one to take away from that because we were all over Shadow of Light, and she was the one I thought, yeah, I kind of like her for the next time, and she's been on my radar for. I didn't think she would go here, but I like the idea that they're coming here with us.
It's worked out all right because Arizona Blaze has gone and won that flying 5 at the
Hmm.
Curragh and he was second. Time of Sandals was on the wrong part of the track at Haydock
Hmm.
and was quite unlucky and there's definitely still big performance in him. But I think no half measures winning that Group 1 did look like a bit of an outlier fluke.
Hmm.
Time of Sandals winning this wasn't. He's kind of gone and franked it a little bit. Big Mojo was 7th. You know how good he can be. Um, so I think it's not brilliant form, but it's decent enough in this context. And it's just like the trainer interests me. You know, she was too
Yeah,
keen when third and still only beaten 3 quarters. You know, the ground's okay. You'll need to forget the Morris de Geese run where things just didn't go to plan, maybe still feeling the effects of that. And then Longchamp, they could easily have kind of went, let's go to the Abbey, and they didn't. They decided to wait for this because I just think that going down to 5 is just a bit of a sharpener for her. And we're seeing these French horses. Saw that French horse, Boutevere, come back from an okay level to improve and win at Newmarket. So it's just their kind of time of the season. It's their kind of thing. And this horse might be the one that can improve out of all recognition and taking us out. So kind of Blue and Rebecca were definitely the two against the field that I like.
I was going to ask another one.
Rayevka.
Rayevka is the one I kind of think I'm coming down on, but I was going to ask why is Spy Chief 66 to 1?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Like,
probably because he's rated 107 and maybe get found out. More of a 7 furlong horse, probably.
yeah, maybe I
Is
could
he?
see
He
him
get
keeping on
stiffer.
and doing
They get
okay.
stiffer and a bit slower.
Yeah.
The Newbury race is nowhere near up to that. I mean, he wasn't great there. The second that day get turned over at odds on at Redcar, so I mean, he'd be pretty low on my list. But listen, keeping Gosling on side with big prices, it's no bad thing here because this is a meeting where he's going to target really really effectively. So even at that price, I'll get William Buick on. He does have a bit of excess stamina, and if they do overdo it and he is in a going day, he's unexposed enough to get involved. 3-year-olds also have a pretty decent record in this, and they've won kind of 4 of the last 10, so they do tend to do quite well. So he could join the list, but I'm kind of hoping that the French filly can do it, and if not, then Kind of Blue I think's the consistent one at the top of the market that's worth a price. But yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if any of them
No, you
10,
really wouldn't.
15 can. But they're the two that I've landed on this occasion.
We will move into the fillies and mare stakes at 245. Another really good race. I think the next few races we're going to talk about are all going to be very good. Copana leads the market at 10-3. Obviously, quite disappointing to a degree in the arc. A strange swerve the arc altogether and is coming here. You've got Warda, Quasana, Bedtime Story, Danielle. What do you think of this?
It's another race I don't like the top of the market, really. I think
Okay.
Kilpana might be feeling the effects
I
of
prefer a strange to Copana at the moment.
I mean, pain probably maybe the pain in the ground because it was a bit soft
Mhm.
that maybe brings the top two into play a bit more. But I mean, Kilpana's been touched off last 4 times the arc, maybe excusable. I don't think she's the best of trips. And maybe if she's been sensibly kind of eased off and she's kind of quick there, and then maybe didn't really expend as much energy as we think there. But there must be a good chance that this turnaround will be testing. But on raw figures, you'd think, well, 10-3 is an absolute steal because she's in a different league to these. £10 superior to Strange, for instance. Strange, who ran fine at York in behind Minnie Hawk and ground that was probably a bit too quick for her. Minnie Hawk's probably franked that form more. But beating Scenic a neck at Haydock isn't good enough. Beating Shah 4 and a bit, nothing else can in behind. It's all in visuals with her. She hasn't done anything of substance. Hasn't done anything of substance to be a contender in the arc, to me. And a kind of cruising trip, she might be the last one in the bridle again, but I just, for some reason, I just don't fully trust her. Maybe just not seen enough of her. And this ward, I think, is quite progressive and interesting.
I like her, yeah.
And I'm hoping that it still continues to drift just because people see the figures, think, well, she's 107 rated. But Goodwood was a fine victory, 1 mile 6, where she beat Danielle, who's another one of interest because of
Mm-hmm.
the Gosling angle, because I just think it just outstayed her. But I think that line of form's decent in the Lily Langtry. She showed you speed when winning at 1 mile 2 at listed company. And yeah, well, this is a step up. It's a step up in regards to getting towards the top two of the market. They look capable of improvement. She's got that 3-year-old allowance, which is worth £6 here, which helps. 3-year-olds have a very good record in this. Won eight of the last 10 they've won. So it's a useful time of the season to get that kind of chunk of weight. I just think that's interesting. Our old bedtime story favourite is here again.
Kind of backed her too many times.
Well, I think she's been horribly campaigned.
Yeah.
I think this is what she wants now. I mean, she was. I don't understand why she was in the 1 mile 6 race at Longchamp instead of the Prix d'Anne. I mean, and she still was back to her favourite. She's backed as if they still really like her. There's definitely something there, but going up that far that trip is something that she never ever wanted in her puff. To
Mm-hmm.
be honest, held up out the back and wasn't persevered with the final 2 furlongs, so you can throw that out. The fact she went off favourite was more significant than her performance. Um, 'Cause, 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 'cause the Prix Vermeil was more disappointing, I would suggest. But again, she kind of blundered the brakes, stayed on, suggested that they weren't bothered. But her performance was kind of masked by the woeful effort of Worrell that day. So I don't think a lot of people complain. 16-1, everything O'Brien ran that weekend. I was just simply not interested, not off. And she was one of the unluckiest losers around at Deauville the other day, where she was just cantering all over them. And Ryan Muir get trapped in the rail and didn't get out and get beat 2.5 lengths. But in a race that was kind of an archetypical slowly run French farce. So you're unlucky that.
She's another one that's run a lot, isn't she?
And then at Goodwood, she was in that equally farcical race for different reasons in that
was the one
flag
without the
start on
stables.
Ascot Stakes that's bottom Worrell out. So and it's Chantilly, you can make a case that she should have probably have won there. She's done by the draw behind Gazora in the French Oaks. So there's a performance there. Whether it'll be today,
another
it
horse
could well be, but that's an each way. It's definitely an each way angle in it. As is, we might take the long way. As is Danielle.
That's the one I was going to ask you about. It might take the long way because obviously she's had a view of Minnie Hawk's arse more than once, and she ran bad the last time. I think you can make excuses in the ground, but she gave Minnie Hawk a serious fright at the Curragh in July in the Irish Oaks.
Yeah, beaten favourite the Prix d'Anne and didn't have much excuses really. Behind Bernavra, See the Fire, one look flew home that day. I think she's more interesting. We might take a long way, potentially, but yeah, the Irish Oaks is dreadful form.
I'd agree, but
I think Danielle might be one that improved. One look, Tiffany the Prescotts isn't out of it, given the way Consent won last week. She's had a long layoff, but came back and ran quite well in France behind Sibiane. Is a very good horse over there with the Graffards. It was probably quite an encouraging run, and it's just come on from that as much as you think. She does have kind of back form that would put her in the mix. She was third in this last year, so not out of it. An interesting race, and again one that I'm inclined to kind of maybe play a bit later, not have a concrete opinion on, but I definitely like Ward at the third in, and Kusana was in the art where just things didn't go right for him. Things didn't go right for Copana, didn't go right for her either. So there's a lot of each way players here that you can take on the front two market with, and that certainly would be.
Yep, I'm going to go for we might take the long way. Let's go into the Queen Elizabeth Stakes, Callum. Field of Gold, likely to run at 7-4. You've got Brisalian, Fallen Angel looks to be going here as well. Queen Anne winner Docklands, the Lion in Winter is also in here, Never So Brave. Is this as simple as if Field of Gold from Royal Ascot turns up, he wins this, and 7-4 is a steal, or was the York run too bad to be true?
It was lame after York, wasn't it? Goodwood, sorry.
Goodwood, sorry, yeah.
A bit lame, the pacemaker, and that was Karat got away.
Would you back him at 7-4 right now?
No, because he's one that you need to. The market will probably dictate the opinion before the off. I think he's the most significant horse just before the off out the whole card because he's come back from 80 days off. He's the favourite. He might be something that's completely special, or the doubt in my mind isn't whether he'll be forward in the day. I do trust the Gossens to be him right. I don't think it was a big setback that he had. I just think he was kind of maybe feeling something a bit lame and didn't pick up properly. But is this 3-year-old form as good as we think it is? Because Henry Matisse hasn't done much to really kind of advertise it. Nothing's really come out the Guineas that's blown you away. The Irish Guineas was as bad as the Irish Oaks that we talked about in the Irish Derby. They've been pretty poor classics, I think, over there. And he's into open company here against horses that different horses that are on the upgrade and like this place. So even before the setback, 7-4 it's only fine enough. But I mean, if you still believe he's a generational talent in the S24 is fine. I have my doubts about that. I don't have doubts about his well-being. I think it'd be fine. What I do have doubts about is he as miles clear as people think he is, and does he want further than this? Um, because
Did you have that view
James,
after? Did you have that view after Royal Ascot though? I know, like,
I did.
okay,
I did. I did think he'd be better off 10 eventually. I can see why they stuck with Sussex, but they stuck with Sussex because the yard had kind of. I think that John Gosling might have kind of pulled rank there because he had the ombudsman.
mm-hmm.
So I kind of no need really to kind of do with this. The regret is should they went eclipse again the fact that the ombudsman there. I don't think he wanted in any way, shape, or form this season for Field of Gold to run against ombudsman.
No.
That was the issue. So and he won he won in a manner where he kind of pushed Burn quick and where you think, well, he's definitely going to get away with it a mile. And
Mm-hmm.
he probably would have gotten away with it if it was just one of those things where it went wrong and he was a bit labelled and he didn't quite pick up and he finished fourth and they found something in behind, wasn't he? I haven't seen a concrete, I mean, I might have missed it, but I haven't seen a concrete injury. I think it was just lame. Um,
Yeah.
which,
But
which,
I saw
which,
him gallop another day, but again, people read too
yeah,
much into
well,
that
I
as
think
well.
he's working quite well with the
Yeah.
rest of the stars, and that's what you'd expect.
16 runners we've just had confirmed. So it's 16 runners. That's a good field.
This is the best mile race around. You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the champion later on. The champion's better than the Arc. This is
Yeah.
better. It's better than the Queen Anne as well. You know, Rosalian keeps running consistent races. He's going to be thereabouts. He's been backed again. He's probably been backed into a little bit too short territory, but
Can he
he's
win? Can he win a
he can
race?
win. Hmm?
Can he win a race for Sally?
Absolutely, yeah, he can. He can if he's delivered properly. He can. He can have a bit of quirks, but you know he's the York race was going to be unsuitable for him. It was always going to be too sharp. I thought he was unlucky. Sometimes you could question, but I just think that's his style, you know, and it happens. And on a normal season, you know, 3 of those seconds, you know, you probably get 2 of them in a normal day, particularly the one at Royal Ascot where he really ought to have won. And I thought the last day was pretty unlucky. Goodwood, you know, if you take
I
pace,
didn't get the
you
York
take,
thing going back to 7. Like, I didn't understand that at the time.
well,
But
I just think because it was a Group 1, the City of York, and I think he missed that mile race at France because he had a little knock, didn't he? So I think that's why they kind of thought, well, we feel obliged to run him here, and he might have enough class. But the 7 furlong horses were actually emerging. Fallen Angel is improving and admirable, but I wouldn't be backing her around here. Docklands Loves Course and Distance ran fine with France last in the fourth.
is the
That was a
Lion
good
in
run.
Winter the eye
No,
catching entry?
no, no. He's a pace angle, but no, I can't. If you can't trust Rosalind, I don't trust him. I mean, he comes in with the all good run, but I think winning it's a bit of a stretch.
You see him running well.
I think Never So Brave is a bit clear bet in this
Okay.
each way. The clear bet. He's on the upgrade. He won that race the last time pretty well
Mm-hmm.
at York. The third Marinoa Charlie has come out and won the 40 absolutely easily. With Salmon Arrow right, he's only got a length to find, but this horse kind of found quite generously. He was reasonably enough well positioned, but he's just going through the ranks, isn't he? He won that handicap in the straight course, so you know he can handle that with bundles in hand. The way he won the Summer Mile, where he reeled the horse in, and kind of not so similar a race that panned out in the Sussex Stakes, where they didn't get to him.
Mm-hmm.
He managed to do it to get to Point Linus in time. Yeah, it's not quite this grade, but he's still got plenty more to offer. I think each way, I think he's an okay price. It's not a race I've committed yet to, but if it was run right now, I would be backing him. He's had a nice kind of break as well, 56 days off, probably because they trusted more Thunder to go to the 40 and he was drawn out of it. The only horse that was drawn double digits all day that finished in the top 4. So I thought that effort could be massively upgraded from him in the same ownership. They're similar types. And I think Never So Brave is going to be quite versatile here. I think he'll sit mid pack. He does have that kind of nice blend of speed and stamina. It suits Docklands. I think Never So Brave show that York's probably a quicker horse than Docklands. Maybe a bit more versatile if they slow it up. But the fact that like Factor Cheval is 20s and Dancing Gemini's kind of 33s, 40s. This is a good race. A good race. Just kind of hope that it's kind of reasonably truly run, because that's what a lot of these horses. Rosalind want a truly run race. Docklands want a truly run race. Field of Gold want a truly run race. A lot of them will definitely want that. Fallen Angel might be the one that takes them on. Takes them on out front and might try and steal a marks and skip away. So it's interesting. I would say we're Never So Brave at the moment, but I think it's a very good race to watch.
I think the next one is going to be equally as good, if not better. We have declarations that is going to be Ombudsman versus Delacroix versus Calandagan in the Champion Stakes. Callum, what a race this is going to be!
Yeah, it's a fantastic race, and one of the few favourites that I quite like. I would say I think Ombudsman's the best here, and I expect him to go out and prove it. And hopefully he produces a performance that is worth of the race, its nature, and the best performance, one of the best performances, well, definitely the best championship performance I've seen was Cracksman winning this. He's capable of doing something, maybe not like similar, but something very close to that.
Okay.
And it seems that he's going to get his ground. Don't want to see the word soft in the description because I think that'll bring Delacroix right into probably Calandian as well. But I think if it stays on the good side and it's drying out all the time, I think he's too quick for these.
Is it a case of if he runs to the way he won at Royal Ascot, he'll win?
If he runs to the level international, I think he'll win.
Okay.
And I mean, I know that the pacemaker got away and it looked a funny race, but he was still quicker on every single furlong in the last mile than Delacroix was. You look the head on from the straight, he's 4 lengths behind it. It kind of stays the same gap. You get kind of first run on him and things like that, but I don't really see that in my mind being reversed and what looks like it's going to be maybe panning out a bit similar, a bit more tacticals, a bit more bodies in the way, so they might not kind of range up and have a clear run of things. But I think it's the best horse in the race, and I hope the best horse in the race wins in what is probably the race of the season.
Yeah, I think there's two other horses that can
Swords.
potentially. I think there's the one that I really like the fact that they're going here is Economics. I think it's just great to see him back. Whether he's probably not going to get close, but you would love to just have a wee each way on him at 16, just hoping he kind of runs to what we saw before last year's. I backed him last year in this.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the Irish Champion where he did really well to kind of
Yeah.
go out and win that. He's bled and he's off 364 days. I don't think you need a penny in him to hopefully see him run well. Yeah, it's just such a big ask,
Yeah.
But you won't haggis for a long break. It's fine, I wouldn't really regulation have, but it's just such a hot race to
I
pitch
know.
into.
I just hope he runs well and there's no
I'd like to
issues.
see him travel into it nicely, finish it off okay, and if he's third or fourth, then absolutely brilliant. Almarek's another
That's the
fascinating
one I was.
contender.
That's the other one. Yeah, I thought he was
Where
really
you're
good at
not
air.
weighted to ground, but this 3-year-old was just got a bundle of potential here. The owners was really rating, and he's now 117. Yeah, he's got a bit to find, but he'd be the each way place in the race for me.
Yeah, I think that was the
Um,
territory I was coming down on. Yeah.
without an absolute doubt. I mean,
Don't think Pride of Arras is out to either, like just for a place as well. I think.
they need to completely overdo it up front, wouldn't they? Really,
Yeah.
for him to get involved. I would think. I think this is a lot tougher than his last win that kind of came from bit of nowhere. And is he kind of just a York specialist
Maybe, yeah.
a little bit in his way? He's not really kind of had it all. But yeah, it's just a very good race. Almacam, is he going to run? It might be just turning a bit too quick for him.
I think I did see. Let me just tell you. I think I did see that he was actually declared. Yes,
Yeah,
he is. Yes, he is running.
he's definitely declared, but they might pull him out.
Mm-hmm.
But on the day, but it's good to see him kind of confirmed. and he obviously had that early kind of season form that's tied in with Ombudsman, but he's improved out of all recognition since. I think he get beaten the clips because, not because he needed a pacemaker, but because they just went too slow up top, and that lit him up, and he didn't settle. I think settling him is the key here, like it was in Junior International. I wasn't really bothered who's a pacemaker. He just needs to drop the head early on. He just wants something to fly past him for those 2-3 furlongs to relax him. Dale Carr, as we've seen, the Irish champion, and he was second to Anmac. He made that kind of sweeping rail to rail mid race move that was brilliant to watch under Sumiyong. So you can make a case for all three. Calandigan as well was kind of fresh break, just beating second in this, but he's improved his form this year. He's definitely got the speed and the ability to win this, and it wouldn't surprise me if any of the three of those won. The only outside that I can see possibly springing a shock is Almarek, but out the top three, it might be who times their challenge the best.
I think you want. I think you really like Ombudsman. I think he's.
Oh yeah, I think
eyes lit up when you were talking about him.
He's lit up the flat season for me.
Yeah.
No, nothing else has. Nothing else. Maybe that 2-year-old next week come in, but yeah, I think he's very, very good. Yeah, and I do actually genuinely hope he wins.
Okay, well, let's hope he does. Let's go into the final race of Balmoral Handicap. Again, not much of an opinion on this. Anything you like for
it? I think Crown of Oaks could win this, but I mean, bounce back because it was this kind of like really warm order, wasn't he? Didn't go Cambridgeshire, William Haggis. They went to a big kind of Irish race instead, at odds on, trying to get his mark, but the turnaround kind of caught him out from Ascot. I think where he won, he won a kind of handicap quite easily there. I think he's probably much better than his mark of 99 suggests. The 3-year-old, unexposed 3-year-olds do quite well in this. Well, I think others have shown their hand. The Native Warrior keeps improving. He's rated 109 now. He's definitely there to be shot at. Shout is a chance in C&D form, but I think others might have. I think you might want it a bit soft. I think others might have kind of stronger back form that have a bit more potential. So I mean, Crown of Oaks was definitely one at the top of the market that I quite liked. The other one I'll give a shout to was Witch Hunter, who was kind of ran quite well in this last year off a massive weight. He slipped down a little bit in the weights. It was off like kind of 109 towards the end of the season. He was third off 109 last year in it, and he likes the straight mile. He's now £6 lower. Richard Hannon is a good knack of kind of getting one up to kind of win a race like this. It's invariably going to be a strongly run race. He won the last day to show that he's kind of bounced back a little bit to form. He's going to be high in the weights, but this isn't beyond him, and I think 16-20 to 1 about him each way would be fair enough. So they'd be my two at the moment against the field in that.
Right, okay, so before we wrap up, Callum, just your best bet of Champions Day?
I'll have to go for Ombudsman.
Ombudsman, okay. I will probably go for... I think I'll go for a wee play each way on. We might take the long way. Callum, that was us for the Champions Day. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks again. We'll be talking jumpers after this, won't we?
We will be back on the 5th of November, where we'll get our countdown to Cheltenham show underway. Obviously, we will have the jump column will start on the 25th on the Friday of Cheltenham, and it will be here all the way until the end of the jump season. Callum obviously has his selections out most days, and they'll be getting shared on the channel. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Gamble responsibly on Champions Day, and we will see you all soon.